Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on a webinar about how to scale up your business capabilities with Azure IoT Central. We at Dynamics Square are super thrilled to give you all the insights about what's happening within Azure IoT space during our live event today. My name is Nitesh, and I'm part of the business development team at Dynamics Square, and I've been joined by my colleague Arpit, who is the IoT evangelist at Dynamics Square. In our last webinar, we discussed about IoT in particular and IoT applications which are available in the market. But today we will deep dive into Azure Central and what's Microsoft vision for Azure IoT. And to talk further on this, we have a special guest from Microsoft today, Sylvan Eckel, who is the IT Technology Specialist Director at Microsoft and has been with Microsoft for almost 18 years now. A warm welcome, Sylvan, and to our audience today. Let's quickly see what is Dynamics Square and what are the exciting things which we are doing in the Microsoft space. Dynamics Square is a Microsoft Gold certified partner, comprises of more than 130 highly skilled Microsoft certified professionals, serving more than 250 clients globally. We provide services around Microsoft Dynamics 365, Power Platform, and Azure IoT. If you talk about our strength, we are well versed with the technology know-how. We have 135 Microsoft consultants present in 6 global locations, serving 250 plus clients globally. All in all, have more than 11 years of experience across different technology domains from Microsoft. We have a customer satisfaction of 99%, along with providing 24/7 support services to our clients across all time zones. Now, if you talk about our presence across different geographies, apart from the UK, we are present in Netherlands, Australia, Singapore, India, US, and Canada, through which we provide 24/7 support services to our clients across all time zones. Now let's talk about the solution expertise and what exactly we do in the Microsoft Dynamics 365 space. So we do both ERP and CRM applications within Microsoft Dynamics. That includes applications like Business Central, Field Service, Marketing, Sales, Finance, Supply Chain, Customer Service, and Project Operations. If you talk about our Azure expertise, we do IoT Hub, IoT Edge, IoT Central, Digital Twins, Azure Sphere, and Machine Learning. As part of this webinar, we will be focusing more on the Azure IoT and Azure IoT Central in particular. Not only that, we do the entire Power Platform, which includes 4 major applications like Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, and Virtual Agents. These are some of our clients in the UK where we have helped them with their digital transformation initiative through Microsoft suite of applications that includes Dynamics 365, Power Platform, and Azure IoT as well. Now let's move to the agenda of the webinar. So we'll be discussing how you can fasten your time to market with an all-in-one IoT solution. What is Azure IoT Central? How you can seamlessly connect, monitor, and control your IoT-enabled products. How you can gain valuable insights to make better business decisions. How you can access your data anywhere, anytime, and on any device, all through Microsoft Azure. We will have the live demo as well as part of this session, along with the Q&A session. Before we jump forward, I will now request Sylvan if he could share his insights about Microsoft vision for Azure IoT and what are the things happening within the space so that we can move forward accordingly. Over to you, Sylvan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nitesh. It's really a pleasure to be here. So thank you so much for having me over, and thank you everyone to attend this small presentation. My name, yes, is Sylvain Eckel. I've been with Microsoft for a little bit shy of 18 years, and working for largely more than 20 years in that space with Microsoft and many other partners in technology on IoT, on embedded system, on devices, on manufacturing, and everything that touches really business processes and business operation of Microsoft partners and customers. Today, and for the last 7 to 8 years, I've been working on the Internet of Things, which has really quickly became a passion for me, a passion of not only technology, but really a passion about transforming businesses across hundreds, if not thousands, of different use case and industry across the world, transforming the business with the capacity of connecting physical assets and transferring this data in the cloud to drive business knowledge and decision making. So again, thank you very much for having me over. I will only talk for 5-10 minutes, so Harpreet can continue the presentation with really the meat of the discussion, which is really IoT Central and the technical capabilities. But I want to take those few minutes to at least give you an idea of why IoT is important to Microsoft and to Microsoft partners and ecosystem, and what I think is really important at the moment when we think about building new IoT solution. So first of all, I like to start a little bit with the market data. Impressive numbers all around with IoT, and we all seen those numbers in the last few years. There's nothing new here, but I really want to still start with those numbers, those market signals that we've been saying year after year, because they show that while we've been talking about IoT, for a few years, if you listen to some, and for 50 years, if you listen to others, it's still something that really drives innovation and business impact. Most companies have either already an IoT strategy or they're considering an IoT strategy. If you have a business that needs to be deployed across industry and across different use cases, IoT is going to be top of mind. And with Microsoft, we've been working with our partners and customers on IoT for quite a number of years. And I always like to talk about some of the customers we've had and that had success with IoT. And what do we call success with IoT? It goes a lot beyond just connecting some devices and getting some dashboard. This is not IoT. IoT is about driving business results. IoT is about enabling those use cases that actually drive a better business for our customers. Sometimes it will be limiting downtime, right? In a manufacturing shop floor or for machine builders, we want to make sure that we have a better SLA for our business. IoT helps doing that. Often, it's not going to be about new revenue stream or new crazy as a service offering, but it's just going to be reducing cost, making sure that you use your resources intelligently and more efficiently possible. IoT will help you doing that. Often tied to reduce costs, it's also reduce carbon footprint or building a more sustainable business. It is really top of mind with all our customers and partners today on how to use IoT to drive a more sustainable business. One of the direct impact of this, in addition, of course, to reducing costs, reducing environmental footprint, is also to meet regulation, new regulation to make sure that we have more and more of a sustainable world. IoT help you do that by tracking and tracing and getting the right data of your solution and your different physical asset. So beyond ensuring compliance, sometimes we have also business impact that is a lot more into internal processes or technology oriented. A lot of our customers are saving time, money, and gaining in agility by basically managing the complexity of integrating those different assets, those different solutions with their existing IT infrastructure or their original process. All of our customers have a running business, and when they move to IoT, there is something they want to keep on going, everything that's going well. And managing that complexity is extremely important as well when thinking about IoT. So where does that leave us for today? Well, it leaves us to something that that is really top of mind, of course, for Microsoft, which is our cloud offering, of Microsoft Cloud offering. Before going into some very few concept of the Microsoft Cloud offering for IoT, I'd like to take a little bit of a step back and think about what are the key pillars and the key value proposition of the Microsoft Cloud. And today, the first thing I'd like to talk about that's important also in IoT is how we integrate choice in how you can develop your IoT solution. It's not only about the choice of simple tools, Visual Studio Code and other development tools, not only about the choice of template or accelerator that you could choose from depending on the use case and industry, but it's also just embracing open source, right? Making sure that we have the right tool set to make sure that Azure IoT is, when you think about Azure IoT, you think about ease of development, ease of integration. That's the first kind of pillar that the Microsoft Cloud brings to the Microsoft IoT offering. The second one that I think is almost like the most important on IoT, and I think that it should be top of mind of everyone working in the IoT space, and unfortunately, I have to say that sometimes it is not. It's security, secure data, privacy, making sure that we are, of course, compliant with privacy rules, but also that we are able to secure our system against cyber attacks, against ransomware. IoT is a target. We've seen it in newspaper, we've seen it in articles. IoT is really a target, and we really need to secure it on the cloud, securing your data, but also securing the entire chain from devices, physical assets, and sensors up to the way to the cloud. And we've been investing a lot in Microsoft to make sure that this is possible. One of the key examples of this is Azure Sphere. We will not have time to look into it today, but I know that is on top of mind of Nitesh and Tim as well. The third pillars that I want to talk about in Microsoft Cloud is really the future, right? How do you prepare for future innovation? Because there's one thing that everybody knows, is that the only constant thing in life is change, and technology is really a great example of that. IoT is changing all the time. There is the latest buzzword every 6 months, but all those buzzwords, they're really only driving one thing, an innovation discussion based on technology to transform your business. So it's really important to keep control on that innovation, making sure that your business is running, that it's being disrupted in the right way, in a constructive way. And that's really one of the key pillars. The two last things I want to talk about the Microsoft Cloud, which I think pertains a lot to IoT, first is the edge. The edge is extremely important in IoT. Sometimes when people hear about IoT, they're thinking about connecting a Raspberry Pi to internet and getting some temperature data. This is really nice, and of course, something that we power very easily, but it's getting more and more. It's also having intelligence at the edge. It's having the right hardware, the right GPU-based computing, for example, to interfere a machine learning model to make sure that you have the right time of reaction, that you have the right type of data in the cloud and on the edge and stored locally to make sure that you take the right decision at the right time. There is so many examples of IoT scenarios really driving different type of workload on the device or in the cloud, depending on what the needs are. And I think every IoT solution we're working on today is to some extent hybrid. It's not all in the cloud, it's not all on the device. And in Microsoft, we've been since years driving, even before we had an IoT division, really driving that story where we can run the right workload, the right intelligence on the device. So that's also really important. And of course, really quickly, the last thing I wanted to mention about the Microsoft Cloud is, of course, the ability to scale globally. There is a saying, think globally and act locally. I think for IoT, it's perfect saying. It's a perfect saying because all IoT solution needs to be there, be present, and be performant at the local level in a use case for your customer's experience. But we need to think globally because we need to scale. We need to manage a complex IT solution across national, international, intercontinental boundaries. And you need a strong cloud partners to actually drive this. So to continue a little bit, and explain a little bit where I see actually IoT today, based on everything we talked about so far. I like to, integrate another, and it's the last one, I hope, marketing concept here in this talk. It's the technology adoption lifecycle. I think probably a lot of you have seen this before. It's really kind of how a lot of people think, especially in product marketing, how in product marketing we think about how a new technology is adopted. There is an innovator base, there's early adopters, people that really invested in new technology, that drive really how that technology is successful in the market. And then you're going to really the majority, early and late majority customers that take a technology that is now proven to work, with the business processes and the business model is proven to work. And in IoT, I think we are in that chasm, that gap between early adopters and early maturity. We see it everywhere. We see it in when we talk to partners, when we talk to customers. Earlier, I talked about security and how it needs to be top of mind. It is top of mind for most of our conversation, and that's the level of maturity that we get because we are crossing this chasm. And the reason why I want to talk about this today really quickly is because it's central to what we are trying to do with our IoT portfolio today. It's really giving that majority of partners and customers a simple way to develop the IoT solution. And simplifying IoT remain key at the moment for all our investment. And when we talk about simplifying, it doesn't mean that it's going to be necessarily always extremely easy to build a complex IoT solution. But it will be simple to get started. It will be simple to get access to resources at scale. And this is really why we're going to talk a lot about IoT Central today. We have this this concept of infrastructure as a service in the cloud, where you run your own workload in your own virtual machine. We have also this concept of the PaaS, the platform as a service concept in the cloud, where you will assemble the different services that's on the cloud to build your IoT solution. Today, this is how 99% of the IoT solution I work with, or 90% of the IoT solution I work with, are actually in production, leveraging the PaaS platform. They use Microsoft components and services and products, assemble them together to fit their needs, to fit their cost structure, to fit their scalability requirements. But we want to go beyond that. We want to go to a world where our partners and our customers think about the value add they're bringing to their solution, the application that they're building. And we're going to do that through IoT Central. IoT Central now is definitively a very fast growing in terms of adoption IoT services for Microsoft, because it provides that simplification of connecting devices, managing devices, and integrating data. Arpit will do a better job than me of explaining how everything works together. But when you think about IoT Central, really think about a set of either software as a service offering. We like also to talk about application platform as a service, because it provides the ability to really let you forget about the basic services that are part of an IoT solution. So you can focus on your application. You can focus on connecting data from your IoT Central application to your backend, to your IT infrastructure, making sure that you really think about what drives value for you and not the enablement technology that allows you to connect to devices, gather data, create rules, um, build permission for users, and have an administrator and different customers, having visualization of data in real time. This is all taken care of you by IoT Central. It's fully hosted by Microsoft, so you really don't have to worry about complex admin tasks. There is a role-based access control, so you can have multiple organization or multiple division in your organization that can use a different access to your solution. And of course, it's a base, it's an application platform as a service. So it's going to be extensible and customize it to your need. Last but not least, there's something that I want to talk about also when we talk about simplifying IoT solution. We talk a lot about the cloud, right? We talk a lot about ingesting data into a cloud solution and driving business decision or complex algorithm on it. I feel, and maybe that's because I have a background in that space, I feel that we sometimes forget a little bit the difficulty of managing physical assets, devices as a whole, complex machines, small sensors, security at the hardware root of trust level, um, health and safety when it comes to robotic or running a machine, remote monitoring, making sure that you can turn off a device if there's something wrong, making sure that you can recover if there's something wrong, making sure that you got the right amount of data, the right amount of control so you can update and manage the lifecycle of devices. In most IoT solutions today, that requires a very tight coupling. Custom software on the devices side, on the physical asset side, custom protocols sometimes, or integrating of existing protocol in most occasions, so you can actually get the right amount of data and you can integrate into your IoT solution. That's very, very complex. And when we talk to, in the last 2 years, to our partners and customers, many said that was one of the most um, difficult points, that really the biggest challenge they had to reduce that time to value. How do you actually couple devices to your IoT solution? That's why we introduced last year something that we call IoT Plug and Play. An IoT Plug and Play is one of the many simplifying technology and offering of Microsoft for the IoT world. When you think about IoT Plug and Play, think about a definition language that will run on a device and that define the capabilities of the device. The capabilities in terms of what data you can get from the device, how the device behaves, how do you manage the device. And when a device is IoT Plug and Play certified, it has this really modeling that can be exported to your IoT solution. You can use it with any Azure IoT platform services. IoT Hub is a hero data ingress service, and of course you can use it there directly. But it particularly is exceptional when you marry IoT Plug and Play and Azure IoT Central, because then you have a full device plug and play experience. You connect the device to internet, a plug and play certified device to internet. It will provision itself. It will connect to our DPS, device provisioning service, directly, and then find your IoT Central solution, register to it, connect, and you can start seeing on IoT Central that device popping up with all the functionality, command and control, and telemetry that it offers. And that way, we can really start thinking about how we can decouple devices to IoT solution and make sure that we don't have to work on the devices, software, and the cloud solutions together, that there can be some decoupling, which of course accelerate time to value. They also accelerate working with device builder, because if a device builder has a PNP certified devices, you know it's going to work with your IoT Central based solution. So there's a lot to do on IoT Plug and Play. I encourage you to check it out, and hopefully after this talk, you'll be interested in trying out IoT Central if you haven't yet. And if you want to try IoT Central, one of a little tip from me is to check on your favorite Android or iPhone app store. Check for the IoT Plug and Play application from Microsoft that allows you to actually simulate an IoT device through Plug and Play on your own phone. So you can really start playing with IoT Central really quickly with a real device, your phone. So with that, I want to thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your patience. There will be some question at the end. I'm going to send it back to Nitesh for continuing the presentation.
Thank you, Sylvan, for this. I hope this was helpful for our attendees today. I will now hand over the session to Arpit, who will give us more insights about the IoT devices and other related topics, and we can take it forward accordingly. Over to you, Arpit. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nitesh. Hi, my name is Arpit, and I have been developing IoT solutions for quite some time now. Today, we'll be discussing about IoT Central, just a little peek of how things work. Before going into this, let's start by discussing some of the basic IoT devices that are used currently. The first one is AZ3166, which is an IoT development kit based on Azure platform, jointly developed by MX Chip and Microsoft Development Platform Division. The main control unit of AZ3166 is EMW3166, which is a low power consumption Wi-Fi module developed by MX Chip. With DAP link emulator and 128 by 64 OLED and other resources such as LED light. The development kit also has an audio processing unit to connect to Azure for voice recognition and voice play. Other includes sensors, and it has an extended interface as well. The next item on our list is ESP chip. The ESP8266 is a low-cost Wi-Fi microchip with built-in TCP/IP networking software and microcontroller capabilities produced by Espressif Systems in Shanghai, China. This small module allows microcontrollers to connect to a Wi-Fi network and make simple TCP/IP connections using Haze-style command. The Haze command set, also known as AT command set, is a specific command language originally developed by Dennis Haze for the Haze Smart Modem 300 baud modem in 1981. Next one is Arduino. Arduino is an open source electronic platform based on easy to use hardware and software. Arduino boards can read inputs like light on a sensor, a finger on a button, or a Twitter message, and can turn it into an output like activating a motor, turning on an LED, or publishing something online. You can tell your board what to do by sending just a set of instructions to the microcontroller on the board. And the last one is Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a series of small single board computers called as SBCs developed in United Kingdom by Raspberry Pi Foundation in association with Broadcom. The Raspberry Pi project originally leaned towards the promotion of teaching basic computer science in schools and in developing countries. The original model became so popular that anticipated selling outside its target market for uses such as robotics. It's widely used in many areas such as for weather monitoring because of its low cost, modularity, and open design. It is typically used by computer and electronic hobbies due to its adoption of HDMI and USB devices. Now, the main topic of discussion today, IoT Central. IoT Central is an application platform that reduces the burden and cost of developing, managing, and maintaining enterprise-grade IoT solutions. Choosing to build with IoT Central gives you the opportunity to focus time, money, and energy on transforming your business with IoT data rather than just maintaining and upgrading a complex and continually evolving IoT infrastructure. The web UI lets you quickly connect, monitor devices, create rules, manage millions of devices and their data throughout their life cycle. Furthermore, it enables you to act on device insights by extending IoT intelligence into the line of business application. One location that connects you with devices, partners, apps, templates, and problem solvers. IoT Central can be used as a middle point for all your IoT needs. IoT Central has edge compatibility. Azure IoT Edge moves cloud analytics and custom business logic from the cloud to your devices. IoT Edge is made up of three components. IoT Edge module, which are containers that run Azure services, partner services, and your own code. Modules are developed to IoT Edge devices and run locally on those devices. Second one is IoT Edge Runtime, runs on each IoT Edge device and manages the modules deployed on each device. The runtime consists of two Edge modules, an Edge agent and an Edge hub. The third one is a cloud-based interface that enables you to remotely monitor and manage your IoT Edge devices. IoT Central is the perfect example for the cloud interface. IoT Central enables the following capabilities for the IoT Edge device. A device template to describe the capabilities of an IoT Edge device, which includes deployment manifest upload capability, which helps you manage a manifest for a fleet of devices. Modules that run on IoT Edge device, telemetry each module sends, properties each module sends, commands each module sends, the relationship between an IoT Edge gateway device and downstream device, cloud properties, customizations, and many more. It also has the ability to provision IoT Edge device at scale using Azure IoT Edge DPS. It also helps in rules and actions. You can make your custom dashboards and use analytics. You can also continuously export your data of telemetry to from IoT Edge devices. Now let's move on to the real thing. Let's connect a device to the IoT Central application. So let me just connect a device to my laptop and then show you how it works. I have connected a Node MCU, which is a basic IoT device used by IoT hobbies to create small projects or to test some code before uploading it to industrial level production devices. It is mainly used for prototyping. It has few GPIO pins and an analog pin. It has a built-in Wi-Fi as well. So this is the basic code that we will be using today. I have entered my Wi-Fi credentials here, and these are the things that we need from IoT Central application. What we will be doing today is we'll be sending telemetry every second, and we'll be sending in telemetry a flow rate and a total water used telemetry, and we'll be sending some random values to it. We'll be also sending a property which is also a random value, and we'll see if we can collect this data on IoT Central application. So before uploading this code onto the device, we need to create a device on IoT Central application, and then need the scope ID and device ID and device key to connect to it. So to create an IoT Central application, we have actually two options. One is directly from Azure IoT portal, and next another one is from IoT Central application. So let's quickly look into the both, and let me just go to my. This is my Azure portal, and if we can just search IoT Central here, we can see there's a option called IoT Central applications, and we can just click on the create button. It's asking us for all these inquiries. We can just write it here, webinar test into. We'll be selecting a subscription. We'll selecting a resource group. A resource group is a collection of items that you want to group together. I'll just group them in demo Azure. We have to select a pricing plan for it. And IoT Central also gives you the opportunity to connect to the previously built custom applications that you can use for your own. If your business is like any of these businesses, you can just click on one of these template and get started. For now, we'll be creating a custom application here, and we'll be selecting UK South location, and we can just create this application. It says we are initializing deployment. As you can see, we have deployment successful, and this is the IoT Central application URL from which we can access our IoT Central application. If we can just go to this address, you can see we have created our first IoT Central application from it. The option 2 was from IoT Central direct website. So if we just search IoT Central on Google and just click on the first link that appears, and we click on create app. Here you can enter your application name. The application name will be the URL of the application. You can select your application template. You can also select the pricing and your directory, your subscription, and all this thing. And the same result will be the same as before. It will create an application for you. As we have, as I have earlier deployed webinar test 1.2, it's our application now. I'll just click on it, and the things, the one thing that we need to connect our physical device is a device here in IoT Central. So we'll just click on. We'll name this device MCU12, and we'll let the device template be unassigned for now. And when we create this device, we can connect this device using the credentials that we just got. So we'll just copy this ID scope and paste it here. The device ID and the primary connection string. These are all confidential strings, so you should keep them to yourself. Don't share them with anyone else. So just for webinar purposes, I'm showing it to you. So after inserting these, let me just upload this code onto the device. You can see it's writing the code. Yeah, it's done uploading now. To see if everything's working fine, we have to open the serial monitor. It's starting the connection process. Yes, is connected. Yes, and we are saying sending the payload flow rate as this and water use as this. So if we just check that in our IoT Central, if we are getting this or not, and you can see we have starting getting telemetry here, which is a flow rate and the random integer value that I've already previously assigned in the code. So the next step would be to create a device template for this to better view the data. So for that, let me just move on to the presentation. Creating template. After creating your application, the first step is to create and connect the device, which we done. Every device connected to IoT Central uses a device template. A device template is the blueprint that defines the characteristics and behavior of a device, such as telemetry, business properties, device properties, properties that an operator sets to determine the behavior of the device, and commands that an operator can call it that run on the device. So if we can just a device template in an article is a blueprint, obviously. So we can just there are two options to create a device template as well. If we can just click on this auto create template, IoT Central will automatically create a device template for us. Um, till it's done, let's move on to the slides. After creating the template, the next step would be to create a dashboard for it. The default organization dashboard is a page where that loads when you first go to your application. As an administrator, you can create more organization dashboards that are associated with a specific organization. After you create the dashboard, choose items from the library to add to the dashboard. The library contains the tiles and dashboard primitives you use to customize the dashboard. We'll see that as well. Let me just check if loading is done. No, let me just click that again. Let me show you how it looks in another application that I created earlier. If I click on this, uh, this is how an IoT central template and it looks like this. You can monitor your flow rate. You can monitor your total water use here. You can run a graph against it, like what is the flow rate against what, how much water is used, and you can create a dashboard from here as well. You can click on new dashboard and just name it anything, water flow, and create it. You can edit this dashboard by these are all the tiles that you can end, like key performance indicator, last known values, line chart, bar chart, pie chart, uh, state history, event history, even the location of the device where it is, and a static image if you want to showcase image, if you want to upload the map of your factory or something, number of devices, external content, anything. You can create your full fledged dashboard here. As soon as you open your application, the first thing that you see are the major things that are happening, how devices are performing, the key elements that you want to view. You can put them on the dashboard here. The next step would be to create rules against it. Rules in IoT Central serve as a customizable response tool that triggers on actively monitored events from connected device. You can define one or more actions that happen when rule triggers. This describes email, webhooks, and Azure action groups. So let me just show you how this works. Let me create a rule here. Let me just name it event trigger. We'll be using device template of water flow. And if if conditions are true, if let's say flow rate is greater than let's say 200, it should email me. Let me just like this. So if this event triggers, you will get a email from Microsoft that event triggered on this device on this date, this time. Event triggered time, device name, which rule triggered, and condition was if flow rate is greater than 200. So you can monitor your devices from anywhere. You can uh, you can check them if anything is happening or not. If there's something happening, it will shoot you an email directly. So all the control is in your hands. uh, Not, and nothing can go wrong. The next step would be to perform analytics on it. Azure IoT Central provides rich analytics capability to analyze historical trends and correlate telemetry from your devices. The analytics user interface has three main components. First is data configuration panel. On the configuration panel, select the device groups for which you want to analyze the data. Next, select the telemetry you want to analyze and select the aggregation method for each telemetry. The group by control helps to group the data by using device properties such as dimensions. Next is time control, and third one is chart control. Let's see that as well. If we just uh, click on new query and we click on this webinar, and device group is our water flow, and we want to monitor flow rate, and we just, if we click on analyze, and let me just click on this to this, save. So as you can see, this device was not connected here, so we don't have that much telemetry here. But if a device has been if the device is running for quite some time, you can perform analytics on this. You can see if the device is performing or not. You can check anything here, like the things you do in a Power BI dashboard. You can perform analytics on anything. Yeah. So that's that, and creating data export. The one thing which IoT Central does is it deletes your data on after 30 days. So data retention is really the major thing. If you want to see the data, how your devices were working last month, last year. So the IoT Central does support data export. You can export your continuously get evolving data, data that your devices are sending to an external blob storage or any other storage, so that you can use this data for later purposes. So how to do this is we create a data export here. We click on new export. Let's say export to blob, and we want to export telemetry here. We have to create a destination here as well. So destination is to blob, and destination type is our Azure blob storage, and authorization is connection string. So if we just enter our connection string here and the container name here, we can start the process of sending the data from IoT Central to a blob storage or events hub, or let me just show you how many destinations it support. Data Explorer, Service Bus Queue, Service Bus Topic, and webhooks as well. So for webhooks are like your HTTP triggers that you can use to view this telemetry on your third-party applications as well. So yeah, we have discussed about data export as well. These are the destinations supported by IoT Central, just like I told you, events hub, blob storage, and all these things. If we just want to quickly go through these, blob storage helps you create data lakes for your analytic needs and provide storage to build powerful cloud native and mobile apps. Data Explorer is a fast and fully managed data analytics service for real-time analysis on large volumes of data streaming for applications, website, IoT devices, and more. Events Hub is a big data streaming platform and event ingestion service. Azure Bus Service is fully managed enterprise message broker with message queues and published subscription topics. Webhooks are like discussed are user-defined HTTP endpoints that usually trigger by an event. Assigning roles. So let's say if you created a dashboard and you want to assign you want anyone else to view it, so you can assign roles to your IoT Central application. We do that by just click on administrator users. You can assign user, you can just enter his email ID and organization. Let's say he's a part of the webinar and I'll name him app builder. And if I enter an email here, he or she would be able to view this dashboard as well. And if we can go to roles, these are the roles that are that IoT Central has: app admin, app builder, app operator, organization admin. We can click on new role and what type of permissions we want to give to the person. We can all customize it here, and you don't have to worry about your data getting stolen or we can add users like I told you like I showed you previously. You can add users to your IoT Central application. To add user to an IoT Central application, go to the users page in the administration section like I showed, and you just click on assign user. If your application uses organizations, choose an organization to assign to the user from the organization drop-down menu. Choose a role for the user from the role drop-down menu. So this was pretty much it. I know it was not that deep dive. It was just a high-level basics of how IoT Central works, how things are connected, how things function, how you can do that by connecting a basic device to IoT Central. In the coming webinars, we'll be more deep diving into IoT Central, like when we talk about connecting an IoT edge device to IoT Central, to performing operations through IoT Central, to actually showing how data gets exported to an external service, and how IoT plug and play works. So if you want to see that, just uh, keep us posted. Yeah, so that's it from my side, I guess. Over to.
Thank you, Arpit, for this. I hope it was hopeful, helpful for our attendees, along with obviously what Sylvan has showcased, prior to your session. So as Arpita said, the Q&A session is now live. So we would certainly urge our attendees today to ask away their questions in case they have any clarifications or any doubts regarding the IoT Central or Azure IoT in particular. Feel free to use the chat box and ask away your questions so that we can answer those questions.
There's a question on PNP certification here. So I have two things on PNP certification. The first thing that maybe I should have mentioned earlier was that there is a catalog called the devicecatalog.azure.com, which you can easily find, which kind of look at all the certified, not all, but most of the certified devices, and you can browse a little bit those devices, and you can actually sort them out by IoT Plug and Play certified. So that's to buy or to procure PNP certified devices. If you want to certify a device, well, there's a few requirements that you need to integrate. There is a very good step-by-step on docs.microsoft.com called IoT Plug and Play certification requirements. Pretty easy to find. And you'll see that there's different steps to it. The first one is really to look at the definition language, which we share with our Azure Digital Twin services, and you can define the capabilities and features of the devices. And that's obviously required. Then you have to integrate, of course, the IoT SDK, and you can go through that certification process. Think of it as the ability to run the IoT SDK from Microsoft, which is of course open source, and integrating this model based on what we call DTTL, Digital Twin Definition Language, to capture and expose capabilities and features of your device.
Thank you, Sylvain, for answering this. We've got one more question from Eric. He's asking any tips to evaluate IoT Central. Sylvain, would you like to take this up, please?
Yeah. So IoT Central is really extensible, customizable for your IT solution and application. But if you go onto the main Azure IoT Central page that Harpreet showed earlier, you'll see that there is quick start on application. So one of the good way of trying it out is really to follow one of those accelerator application, because they goes through something that already has some basic functionality, so it kind of shows how IoT Central work. In addition, if you don't want to have simulated devices, because it's an IoT Central feature, you can simulate the device, so you don't have to get a hardware device. But if you want to have a real device, but you don't want to go into device coding, there is an application on the Google and Apple store for Android and iPhone that simulate an IoT device through PnP.
That's perfect, Sylvain. Thank you for that. Erika, we hope we were able to answer your question there. We've got one question from Jeffrey, and he's asking how soon can we get started with IoT Central? Harpreet, would you like to take this up, please?
Yeah, certainly. So how soon? It usually depends on how many devices you want to connect to IoT Central, and the magnitude of devices that playing the role in how much interconnected are those, like are they just sending the telemetry over, or are they edge devices, or are they connect to IoT hub, DPS and everything. So yeah, it certainly depends upon how many machines and how many devices are there. So that's that. If you want to get an information, just send us an email and we'll get a code for you. Hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Harpreet. So we've got one more question from Tom. He's asking how long IoT Central can retain data. Harpreet, please. Thank you.
So as I discussed in the webinar itself, I think IoT Central has a data retention of 30 days, but that shouldn't stop you. IoT Central data can be exported to different data exports. You can send your data to Blob, Events Hub. You can store it through APIs to your SQL databases or anywhere. So IoT Central as of now retains 30 days, but you can save your data elsewhere as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Harpreet. So we are still left with 5 odd minutes. So I would certainly urge our attendees to ask away as many questions as they can. Since the panel is here, we'll be happy to answer those questions. Sylvain, would you like to add something here, or?
Not at this point. I just want to thank everyone for attending the presentation. There is multiple point of contact also at Microsoft that you can reach out. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you have direct questions and if I can help. And of course, Nitesh and team are here to get you started as well. So that would be my next step.
Thank you. Absolutely, Sylvain. Absolutely. We would certainly urge our attendees to reach out to you or to me or anyone from our Dynamic Square team so that we could help them with regards to Azure IoT and whatever we have discussed today on this session. Since we do not have any more questions, so I think we are done with this session. So thank you so much once again, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Sylvain, for giving your time and your inputs around this very important topic, which is really is it's been discussed a lot in many businesses, specifically manufacturing houses as well. So thank you so much for giving your inputs there. So on that note, thank you so much everyone for attending this. And in case you want to know more or have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Yeah, the numbers and email address are there on the screen, and we'll be more than happy to help you going forward.